Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 139 of the Seezus Show. Hope you guys have had a great week. We are back with our bi-weekly content. Just to rehash on the last episode, it was a flu game episode. Terrence was not able to join us. He was a little sick, but he's back now, feeling a little bit better. I know you guys heard him shout out some Lakers stuff and LeBron stuff in his room and whatnot as well, too. But Carl Conyers and I held down the fortress, and we covered several topics, including Embiid and Levine's injury, Scary Terry trade, dissecting that, the warm welcome for Doc Rivers to the Bucks, LeBron calling out the youngins, East and West All-Star reserves, MVP midseason picks from Carl and I, and much, much more. So I hope you guys enjoyed that wonderful content of me and Carl going back and forth and whatnot. So before we get into today's hottest topics, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the return of one of my co-hosts, Terrence Whaley.
What's good, y'all? I'm back from the flu game, feeling good, feeling better.
And ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for Carl Conyers. How y'all doing, man?
Good, man. Like I was saying, man, just, things been good. New Year's starting off well. Everything's positive. Nothing bad going on in life right now, so I feel good.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, I'm chilling, Things could always be better, but they could be worse.
That is very true. I like that. Obviously, in the group chat earlier this week, I was hating on both of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got y'all little Valentine's, y'all little shorty. When I walked in here, I said, I feel the love already. He got a big-ass happy Valentine's Day balloon right there. So how was y'all Valentine's Day before we get to these topics, man?
Valentine's was cool. I was definitely active. Shout out to my baby. You know what I'm saying? Siobhan, I know you watching. You are an avid viewer, so I appreciate you. But nah, man, it was cool. Cooked up a little dinner, a little filet mignon with salmon and some asparagus and mashed potatoes. All by yours truly. Shout out to Trader Joe's for supplying the stuff. And after that, we went to go see Jordan Ward and Joe K. Okay. And that was cool. Shout out to the homie Seezus that actually invited us like last minute to that too. Because, Siobhan, she like to get out and like dance and be outside. So it was perfect, thing to kind of like feed into like what she likes to do.
That's
so
fire.
What about you?
We actually did dinner too. We made steaks, lobster tail, and these like glazed Brussels sprouts.
Ooh. Sheesh, that went crazy.
Y'all took pictures of this shit?
She took pictures. They on her phone, but I
gotta see the pictures later. You took pictures?
We smashed the food. Hold you.
What about Zoe, man? She been single forever, man. Like, what's up? What she get?
Zoe,
she got any special treats, man?
She not worried about these niggas, right? And then we went to do this bear drips thing.
What's that?
Yesterday. It's basically like you get like this bear thing, but it's not like a teddy bear where it's like furry or whatever. It's kind of like those cause statues, or like figurines.
Okay.
But like it's blank, so you just like get to paint on it however you want to.
It's kind of fire.
That shit was fire. Yeah, we both had a really good time.
Okay, well now I know who to go to, in the future for advice.
Yeah, man, we got great date ideas. Just hit your, your tied up brothers up, and we'll let you know what to do.
The Tied Up Brothers. Another podcast
up.
after this. You ready to get into today's hottest topics?
Yes,
yeah, man.
Let's
All right, man. NBA Allstar is taking place. Obviously, this is a pre-recorded episode, so it's Sunday, so we will not be able to break down the actual All-Star game this Sunday. I don't know about you guys. I didn't really care too much about Friday's festivities, but I really want to focus on Saturday, man. We had the skills challenge. We had the 3-point contest. We had Steph versus Sabrina, a male versus female, NBA versus WNBA top 3-point shooter contest. And then we had a dunk contest as well, too. I know, Carl, you said you didn't really watch the skills challenge at all. Did you watch the skills challenge? How do you feel about it?
I watched the recaps. I like I said, I'm really happy at how the league has been as far as fluidity wise when it comes to the rules of the All-Star weekends. Just seeing how like the format has changed year over year. So the first thing that was cool just was seeing how they broke down the competition, how having like obviously the Pacers top players there, and then how they had the first round picks, or not the first round picks, but the first overall picks, yeah. And then also some All-Stars. So I felt like that was really cool to kind of see like those peers kind of go at it. But I felt like, ultimately those skills challenges are built for guys like Tyrese. Yeah. Both Tyrese's, honestly, and they both showed out. But yeah, I thought it was cool, and I always like when the hometown like All-Star teams or players, win certain things. Like even on Friday night, Benedict Matherin won the MVP for the Rising Star. So it's always good to see like the hosts, guys win. But yeah, I like the format overall more than anything.
Yeah, format was cool. Like you said, I definitely feel like it's built for guard-based players as well, but also it's built for competence. I just feel like, for example, the number one picks, like they did not pay attention to the rules at all. Like the referees was telling them, redirecting them where to go, and they had to go through the weave through the basketball little silhouette cones or whatever. And even with the one when they had to get the points from bounce passes and chest passes and whatnot, like their coordination was terrible. So definitely they need to pay attention to the rules as well too. But like you said, I did like how they had a hometown team and then mixed it up with the number one picks and then the All-Stars as well too. So I forgot, Julius Randle being out for the All-Star game. So Trae Young was one of the replacements, and you said Scotty Barnes as well too. Yeah, so that was pretty interesting. I kind of like back in the day when they just had one player, multiple players, but it wasn't a team. Like back in the day when like D Wade and whatnot went, that was cool.
That was cool too.
So I want them to go back to that format, but I'm not really opposed to them trying to bring in a new crowd and just having a different type of challenge every year as well too. My favorite was probably the half court shot as well too.
Yeah, that was cool,
and it was cool to see. I kind of knew like Team Pacers just had all the momentum. Like I was like, this is kind of a Cinderella type of story as well too. So once the first round pick basically essentially took too much time to make that half court shot, I was like, what, you got a minute and like 20 seconds to win that joint? And of course, out of all players on the Pacers to win the game, it was Tyrese Halliburton. So props to him as well too. So that was a pretty good challenge as well. Moving on from that, the 3-point contest had Malik Beasley, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Dame Time, Lauri Markkanen, Donovan Mitchell, Cat, and Trae Young. What was your thoughts on the 3-point contest? That's always my favorite contest.
It's probably up there for me too. It's been kind of cool to see Cat's like development as a shooter. Like in his time in Kentucky, he obviously wasn't getting baskets like that, but just like how he's been able to improve his percentage in the league and then also just perform in the 3-point contest. I think it might have been like the second round, but like Lauri Markkanen was behind, and he hit like 8 or 9 straight shots at the end, and he still lost. I was like, that's like some elite like competition too. Yeah. So I felt like the overall 3-point contest, as far as like everybody trying to compete, like everybody was shooting well for the most part, except for Malik Beasley. I feel like he kind of was a little least. He was a little less,
like,
but
moment was too much.
Light's too bright.
But yeah, sometimes too, like because for him, it seemed like he was running out of time and he kind of rushed his last few attempts. But I think yeah, like it was cool to see, and yeah, it's one of my favorites as well, though, just as far as like the overall competition.
Yeah, what about you, Carl?
Yeah, I think the 3-point contest is cool. Looking at the field, I'm not really surprised that Dame won. But it was dope seeing. I honestly kind of tuned in more like at the tail end,
like the
second round, and then I saw like the last round.
Yeah.
But yeah, they was shooting. They was out there getting
Facts.
buckets.
They was out there getting buckets. They were getting buckets. Yeah, for sure. Once it got to the second round, and like 4 or 5 of them had 26, I was like, all y'all got 26, just all y'all go. Like, who cares? So I didn't really agree with the little tiebreaker that they had as well too. But I think how many people advanced? 3?
3.
So I think it was Trae Young, Cat, and Damian Lillard, right?
Yeah.
So I thought Trae Young had that joint for a little bit, and then Dame just, was being heroic. I feel like he missed those last couple on purpose, and then just made that last one to actually get to 27.
Damn,
but
that'd be crazy if he did like that intentionally.
Right? Yeah. No, he did good though. Like I said, I enjoyed it as well too. We prioritize shooting. Steph's changed the game, so naturally, like I'm gravitating towards that as well. There's nothing that would really change about the 3-point contest, but I thought it was overall success. Now, the new 3-point contest that they implemented this year, and obviously, whoever won, well, not even whoever won, both of these respective players had a donation to whatever charity they wanted to go to. But Sabrina, WNBA marksman, went up against Steph Curry. After that, what were y'all thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see it live, but as far as, like I said, the format, like I think anything that the NBA can do to also kind of uplift and kind of like spotlight the WNBA, I think is great for their league. And I think too, like just Sabrina showing, she can really go shot for shot with bro. I think that was just awesome to see. And then all the like the messaging that she had like in her interviews before, obviously trying to uplift, women empowerment and just showing that, they're on equal footing. I thought was cool. And then, just being able to see Steph in that competitive fire again. I mean, I know what's the Warriors right now? They in a 10th spot. So they ain't really competing for much lately. So it's been cool. It's been cool to see Steph like in that competitive fire, in that arena, like his 3-point, marksmanship is really where he hangs his hat. So it was cool to see him like compete in that space.
All right, what about you, Carl?
Yeah, so this one I did actually see all the way through.
Okay. I'm gonna watch this.
But because it was fire. It was really dope. Especially because Sabrina was out there hooping. Like we were talking about before the episode, her score was 26, and that's what Dame won with in the final round of 3-point competition. So like clearly she's on par with the average, above average NBA shooter. She just couldn't beat what everybody regards as the best shooter of all time. But yeah, no, I thought it was dope. Steph got hot late and like cleared the last 2 racks basically. And I think they were talking about for sure doing it again next year and maybe even like adding partners so there'd be like 2 WNBA players versus 2 NBA players. I think stuff like that is cool. Like it takes out the physicality of it and just kind of showcases the skill and shows you like skill wise their game is really, really good. Like these are really skilled players, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to, match up, but they can. So yeah, I think it's dope, and I think it's something that I hope to see more of.
Oh yeah. So obviously, at first weeks before, like once we kind of found out about this, she kind of said, "Oh, I want to be at the NBA 3-point line." So that was cool that she did that. And then she used a WNBA ball. Do you think things should have been changed where she should have been at the 3-point line for the WNBA line? And then do you think she should have used a different ball? What are y'all thoughts on all that?
So they said that she could have used the WNBA 3-point line. She's the one who was like, "Nah, I'm gonna shoot from the regular 3-point line," which is exactly. That's even more fire. And I agree with them using the WNBA ball only because everything they do is so like comes down to really small mechanics and like really small things. So like I feel like it just takes longer to get. She would have to. Not that she's never shot with the NBA ball, but I feel like it'd take a lot more for her to adjust to what she's not used to shooting every day.
No, I feel that as well too. No, they did a great job. I would love to see a partnership as well too, but I kind of want to see like, I know you said WNBA versus NBA. I kind of want to see like Sabrina and Steph team up and go up against another like Dame and then another WNBA player. That would be dope. But either way, it would be nice. And then I was telling you before we recorded this as well too, I would like to see them have a split screen and both of the teams are on opposite sides of the court going at it as well too. So that would be pretty dope to see, honestly. Only thing I'll say about Sabrina, I was like, where was this in the WNBA finals? Needed you.
Yeah, she was not hooping.
Yeah, but we'll see, man. We'll see what Liberty up to next year as well too. And then last but not least was the Kia dunk contest. We had Jaylen Brown. We also had Jaime Jaquez Jr., Jacob Toppin, and then Mac McClung. What was y'all thought on the dunk contest?
I'm gonna go last.
I think it was a lot more mid. Whole lot of mid, as Playboy Cardi would say. I like Mac McClung. He got up there for sure. I did like his last dunk over Shaq because I can't remember who it was, but one of the earlier guys in the first round dunked over Shaq, and like they pushed off of him, so they needed his help to clear it, and also they hit the top of his head. Like it just wasn't great. So it was dope seeing like the shortest guy out there go up and do that. But I was saying this before, like I really think they should take the dunk contest away for just maybe like 2-3 years, something like that, and bring it back. I think just that alone would build more anticipation and make it kind of like a little bit more fun. And maybe if y'all bringing in G Leaguers, bring in some of these like YouTube dunkers then, because they to me are doing better dunks than a lot of these NBA players are doing. So yeah, it was cool. It to me the best thing was the 3-point shooting and Sabrina versus Steph. I'm be honest, I just feel like All-Star Weekend is losing a lot of its entertainment value. It doesn't feel like a must-watch anymore to me. But that's kind of like a bigger problem. But
I said I'm going last.
Oh, you're going last. No, dunk contest was cool. I mean, it just like I agree with Carl. Like, I feel like we should take a couple years off, and I think it'll be much more successful as well too. But for me, there's a couple of dunks that were good. Like Obi Toppin had his brother had a pretty good one. Jaylen Brown was, kind of creative. It's just hard to do more dunks when you've kind of seen everything. But like you said, there's YouTubers and stuff like that that actually got bounced, and they've seen shit we've never seen before. So that's pretty cool. But I think the biggest thing is probably I would like to see, because I feel like if we were actually in the arena and we're up close, we would enjoy it more. That's one thing. But two, I feel like if we are, let me finish. If we're out, I feel like if we're watching it as a viewer, I feel like I enjoyed the dunk more when I saw that shit in slow motion. So if there was a way, this is just me, like back in NBA Live when they had the whole little dunk contest, like when they're about to go up and they put in slow motion, if they could try to have that edit in real time of them doing the slow motion and then fast forwarding it, I think that would be dope as well too. But I agree with what Jaylen Brown said was, even though we've seen most of these dunks and whatnot as well too, what we need is these stars to just play again. You know what I'm saying? Be a part of the dunk contest. And I know you love this guy, LeBron James.
It's just
one of the
LeBron's
people.
fault. It's his fault.
It's his fault. It's his fault. And Jaylen Brown was good at calling out people and like, yo, like people are these stars nowadays are basically too scared of becoming memes and whatnot. It's just about going out there and having fun. So hopefully with Jaylen Brown being the top star in this dunk contest in the future, we're going to have more stars being willing to participate and not really give a fuck. But
yeah, I mean the stars not wanting to come to the dunk contest, that is on LeBron. I know that. I will say for me, I do kind of echo some of Carl's sentiments about taking it away for 2 or 3 years. That is one way to go about it. I also am more of a fan of scrapping the whole thing itself and doing like a king of the court situation. Like that to me is like something completely brand new, where they obviously won't get the LeBrons and the KDs and the Devin Bookers, probably not. But like if you can get these second, generation or like rookies to come in and kind of do that, I think it would add an entertainment value, like you said, Carl, that is missing from All-Star Weekend. And just add a new event. This is the worst event that people have always complained about on social. I know the NBA can see that stuff, and I just feel like maybe during the 2 or 3 year absence, you could add that component to All-Star Weekend and maybe test it out, see like if that's something that could revitalize the entertainment value. And then also just again, it'd be so fun. Like, you remember that Team USA? Those clips, like it was like Kyrie, Paul George, Devin Booker.
Back in the day when Kobe was still alive. I mean, Kobe was still there. That one?
No, I think it might have been the Olympics after that one. Oh no, it was Kobe, because it was him, James Harden. Yeah. Kyrie like went through the whole press and killed him. Yeah. So like that practice, like where they were kind of doing like king of the court, like that shit is so fun. Like you get 2 or 3 dribbles, maybe even just 2 dribbles, and like you got to score. Like I think it'd be so cool to see on All-Star Weekend.
How many players would you place in this king of court?
I think it's probably
what
max
would be the target
at,
score?
8. Oh wait, what do you mean? Say it again.
So what would be like the target score for king of court?
Oh, I mean, I feel like you'd have to go through the whole lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like 6 players or like 8 players, and you have to at least go through all of them.
Okay, I like that. Anything you want to add to it?
No, I think that would be dope.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's probably the only thing that you can add too. So I agree. I would love to see that as well too. So.
Yeah, and one-on-one, I mean, a lot of players thrive in that shit. So
Yeah, I think T Mac was saying some stuff like not even just having the top stars, you can also have some of these role players who really don't have a name for themselves. Because, like you said, 1-on-1 is completely different from 5-on-5. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be, pretty dope as well too. So obviously this is pre-recorded, but who do you guys have winning tonight? Do you have the Western All Stars or the Eastern All Stars?
yeah, I'm always go with the West. And whatever squad LeBron's on. I feel like, he does intensify it in the fourth quarter. Giannis is always a problem in All-Star format though too, but I like what LeBron's squad got too.
Yeah, I've always been a West guy too, so I'm gonna go with Team West. What about you, Carl?
I mean, if I had to pick one, I guess I'd say the West.
Yeah. West?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'd seen like I felt like Tyrese was gonna go crazy tonight, but then I heard him in he was like on the broadcast during the Rising Stars Challenge, and he was like, somebody asked him if he was gonna play hard, and he was like, nah, I'm good. And I was like, damn. So I was looking forward to kind of seeing him kind of like, carry that, host player performance, but we'll see what happens.
But you said for you, once they have to reach that target score and turn everything off, that's when they play the best, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what I've seen. Even when they did it for the Rising Stars Challenge, and then the year when Kobe passed, like I just felt like it's just different.
I was about to say that too. That was probably my favorite recent All-Star game was the Kobe one. I felt like they were actually going at that shit. That shit was fire.
Yep, and then they did it again when they did it in Cleveland when LeBron hit that shot over Zach LaVine. So that was a good one too.
I don't know what the All-Star jerseys are looking like this year, but I know like a few of the players got interviewed yesterday and whatnot, and one of the players, Kawhi, was like, they should go back to when you just use your actual team jersey, the home jersey versus the away jersey. Would y'all like that to come back?
Yeah, it'd be like kind of retro feel. I liked it when they did that, but I think the All-Star Game jerseys are a cool look too. They just haven't been good the past few years, in my opinion. Yeah. Like the year they did it when it was in Dallas, when they did it at AT&T Stadium, like that was a really, really dope jersey. That was my last time where I felt like it was cool. Like it was maybe like 2012. It was like when Dwight Howard was still in the league and an All-Star.
Damn.
Yeah, so like that was the last jersey I really fucked with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pivoting now, Doc Rivers, obviously his new coach. Carl and I kind of touched on that as well too, but the last time Carl and I touched on that, I think Doc can only coach 1 or 2 games. Now he's 3-7 as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach, and I looked at some stats as well too. Right now, even though Milwaukee Bucks are number 2 in points per game and number 4 in field goal percentage, they are number 23 in points allowed. And over this 10-game stretch, Dame under Doc has been averaging 21 points per game, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, shooting 42% from the field and 32% from 3. Carl Conyers, man, after seeing a little bit more games, what do you think is going on with Coach Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks?
I don't know. I mean, I think they shouldn't have fired their coach halfway through the season when they had a good record. Like, it's just one of those things you don't. I do get that Dame is older, but if this didn't work out this year, then you fire him at the end of the year and in the offseason and you hire a new coach. I just don't think it was worth messing up what you had already had going on, especially when you knew you're about to hire Doc Rivers. It's just like the long and short of it. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how they play for the rest of the year, like post All-Star break, and then how they play on the playoffs, because they were a better team. What was that, last year or the year before, when they got beat in the first round? Which I guess that was last year. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for me, I mean, Doc Rivers is the ultimate like going through the motions type coach, and I feel like at least where they were before they hired Doc and fired their Adrian, that was his name, right? Adrian Griffin.
Yeah.
I just felt like at least, I mean, they were competitive. I think the very first domino that kind of came out publicly was when Bobby Portis was kind of like going back and forth about like him not having control of the locker room or like some decisions that he makes, I guess, at the end of games and shit. And I'm just like, bro, but like,
he's a rookie coach too.
yeah, like you got to give him the chance to kind of get that stuff together. And ultimately, y'all still, you know, had a great record. So I agree with Carl in the fact that like I don't think he should have got fired, especially if that's what your next hire was going to be in Doc Rivers. I think they just really wanted some sort of veteran like leadership presence in there, but it's like you have Giannis, that's what he's there for, bro. Like at the end of the day, like yeah, coaching is important, but you with the rookie coach, you pair him with Giannis, like you should be fine as far as controlling your locker room.
And that just shows you like player empowerment nowadays too.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I mean, I don't know. Magic was getting coaches fired. Star players can get a coach fired easy, and they always have been, you know, because it's easy. It's not easy to find a new star player. It's very easy to find a new coach.
Yeah.
That's true. So y'all think they can definitely, you know, somewhat turn it around with Doc Rivers. You think Doc Rivers can end with a winning record or at least above 500 records? He's 3-7 right now.
I do, yes. I think All-Star break does revitalize teams when they come out of it. But I'll say it won't be because of Doc Rivers.
Because of the talent he has on his team.
Right. Yeah.
I feel that. You think it's right to have players be away from the team? You know, PJ Tucker and Bones Highland, you know, obviously were sent home for the road trip / All-Star break from the, you know, Los Angeles Clippers. And PJ Tucker also got the biggest fine this year in $75K for basically publicly demanding a trade. But
it's a lot of sneakers he
gave
gave up. A lot of sneakers he gave up.
What were y'all thoughts on that?
So the original question is it right to have players? So is it right for like general managers?
Be like, yo, don't show up.
I think it's always been a little odd, but I understand it in situations where they're up for trade and the general manager wants him to sit so that he does. Oh, my bad.
You good?
That the general manager doesn't want him to get injured before the trade request happens. But as far as like
post trade, they're doing this.
Yeah, players being disgruntled and them keeping them away. I think they have the right to do it. I do think that there's probably no. I'll say that they have the right to do it. I'll just keep it at that. Bones Highland though, it's really crazy. Like, who's playing ahead of him now? Because I mean, I guess he's at point guard. So Harden.
That's the only thing.
That's the reason.
There's not enough minutes.
See, it's crazy because this same kind of thing happened to and this, I mean, he's a lesser player. I'll say that, but it's the same thing that happened to Talon Horton Tucker when the Lakers traded for Russell Westbrook, and he was getting his legs underneath him as, you know, player in the league and established, and then, you know, ultimately an actual, you know, former All-Star veteran comes in, takes your minutes. But Bones can play, man. I saw him, you know, when he was in Denver. Like I felt like he's capable of playing in the league. He shouldn't be.
Yeah, even before the trade, like I was satisfied with what we had.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But if you can get James Harden,
you gotta
go get James Harden. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it depends on the situation, but in this situation, I think it's fine because both players are completely out of the rotation. Like, they were only getting garbage time minutes. So you already know that they're not about to play. And they're both disgruntled about not playing. And you're on a road trip. And it's right before the All-Star break.
Affect the team, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, when it's one thing if these were home games, but you're on a road trip. So that means y'all are all traveling around each other, have to be around each other. So the sulking is bigger. It matters more. And especially, it's like we're right before the All-Star break. Y'all go home, be with your families, get your mind right, and then, like, come back. And maybe you'll play in the second half of the season. But I think it would be one thing if they just sent them home versus, like, they're probably causing issues that made it easier for the team to just be like, yeah, we'll catch y'all after.
How you feel about the $75K? That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, I think the league has to do something about players directly forcing their hand in their destination. Like,
especially mid players.
Yeah.
Who are you, bro? PJ, like, come on, bro.
They do got to do something about that. Because, I mean, ultimately, though, like, the players do have some leverage to an extent, you know, based on where they're at in their contract years and stuff like that. But I do think that, you know, those fines do need to happen. So I agree. Okay. I agree with that.
Okay. oftentimes in other sports, like NFL, for example, sometimes the best player is the one that gets MVP, or it's the best player on the best team. So with that being said, Jason Tatum right now is having a great year. 27 points per game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 48% from the field. And the Celtics right now have not only the best record in the Eastern Conference, but the best record in the entire league, and are 4 games ahead of everyone in the entire league at 43-12. Do you guys think that, I know last week, we were Carl and I were kind of going back and forth who we think should be the midseason MVP. And he said Joker, and then I said Shea. But do you think, Jason Tatum deserves to be MVP with everything? I know it's hard because, his team is also stacked, but what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that last point was what I was going to say. I mean, ultimately, I think this is a situation a lot similar to, the Grizzlies from last year. Like, when you looked at their split record between when Ja was in the lineup and when he wasn't. I feel like, obviously, the Celtics wouldn't be as good as they are without him, but they'd still win games. And I just feel like, for me, if I was a voter in MVP, value always comes down to just how much of the win share do you have, and also just how much is the weight of you on your team and your team's success. So for me, ultimately, no, I don't think he deserves it. And also, it just seems like the writers are going away from that typical narrative as they were in the early 2000s of the NBA.
What about you?
Yeah, I think my top 2 would still be Shea and Jokic for right now. Embiid, if he hadn't missed half the season already. But yeah, I think honestly there's a lot to what Terrence was saying and what you were saying as well. Like, it's easy to, most of the time it's, the best player on the best team, you're going to be top 3, top 2 MVP voting. But it does matter when you're on a super team. And the same way that Steph or KD were never going to win MVP those same years they were playing together, that's kind of it's not the exact same level of talent for sure, but it's easy. It's easy to view. Okay, you also have Jaylen Brown, you have Kristaps Porzingis, you have Drew Holiday, you still have Al Horford.
Got that nigga off. What's the name from
Derek White?
Yeah,
Derek White. Exactly. Your starting 5 is crazy. It's clearly the best starting 5 in the league. So when you put that next to guys like Shea, who's got his team to be the 2nd or 3rd seed, which is right below basically, and he's taking a bunch of 21-year-olds and doing it and averaging 10 more points a game than anybody else on the team. That to me, it brings more value. It makes you more valuable. That's really just what it comes down to. And the same with Jokic. Jamal Murray's not an all-star. Michael Porter Jr. is definitely not an all-star. And then Aaron Gordon. There's a bunch of solid guys. Jamal Murray is very great in the playoffs, but the other guys are just all solid. And I still have us in, a position because I'm going crazy. And that's also the thing. He has good stats, but honestly, for what the stats are right now in the NBA, they're not peak. It's a couple more guys averaging more points per game than him, more rebounds, more assists. So yeah. If this was 10 years ago, 27, 8, and 4 would be absolutely.
Yeah.
But
because did LeBron win his? What years was he MVP with Miami Heat?
Both of them.
Yeah.
His first year?
Yeah, first 2 years.
How you feel about that?
What, based on how?
When D-Wade was still somewhat D-Wade, and they had Chris Bosh and their team, the rest of the roster built up.
Yeah, I just think Bron at that time was just head and shoulders over anybody else in the league, though. I feel like that comparison is a little bit tougher just because, he was head and shoulders. I feel like,
and I think I would compare that team more to these Nuggets, D-Wade, Jamal Murray at that stage of D-Wade's career. Definitely think Chris Bosh is better than their third option, but that was our first or technically second time seeing a super team, but I don't think it was some of the super teams we've seen since then are oh no, this is you got all of these dudes in their prime and they're all top 3 players. They weren't you know, especially Bosch was maybe a top. He was definitely a top 15. I wouldn't say he was a top 10 player
15.
at that time. And D Wade was definitely already towards the latter half of his career, like in terms of injuries and like his peak.
First year was crazy though.
That
motherfucker was stupid.
So yeah, I think it's just again like what he was saying. Like LeBron was just going insane that year too.
Go stupid. Yeah, okay.
Good times.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see like how they're gonna determine who the MVP is. How they're gonna go with stats? Are they gonna go with true value when you take a player off the team? What are they really? The narrative. I'm curious to see because I feel like we kind of have an idea, but because of Joel Embiid's injury, it's kind of up in the air. So,
and that's the thing. This is the most up in the air I think it's been.
Mm-hmm. Plus, what we talked about last week, Carl, with the whole 65 game parameter. Some players might be ineligible, so it's gonna be interesting to see who's gonna be the MVP. But I know we said this last week. You still on Joker number one?
Yeah, especially as long as they get their seed up a little bit.
Like, where do you think they would have to finish? Top 3, top 4?
Yeah, and I think they're 4 right now.
So just stay right there.
It's still close at the top, so I think they could easily get up there. But yeah, I feel like top 3 would, especially if you could get to like 2 or something. That would boost his case a lot.
Yeah, I think based on how Jokic is playing right now, I would give him the edge over Shea.
You give it to him? I think I'll still stick with Shea as well.
I'd love to see it go to him though. I'd love to see it go to Shea.
Yeah. And when do they normally give out awards for MVP?
We said
like not to the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because I swear, like when Dirk won that shit.
It's at the end of the season, isn't it?
Well, didn't they just make that rule change?
Well, no, because Joel Embiid, remember he was with his team in the playoffs, and they had the little video conference on TNT, and then they gave him the award. So I think he was still in the second round.
Yeah, it was definitely during the playoffs.
Okay. They need to do that shit like right when the season's over type shit. Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to add an element.
Okay.
Right now, the hottest team in the West are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said, they have the second best record in the entire league and the best record in the Western Conference at 39-16. They're number 1 in defense allowed at 106.7, number 2 in point differential, winning by 7.2 points per game. They have 6 players averaging double figures and 2 All-Stars in Ant-Man and Karl Anthony Towns, and obviously that defensive anchor at the 5 and Rudy Gobert and some decent role players, man. How much of a threat for a team on that roster when no one's really had deep runs? How much of a threat are the Timberwolves this year, man?
I think they're about as much of a threat to get past the second round as the franchise has ever been. And I will say this, for all the jokes we gave them for giving up all of the picks, and it's still a funny trade, the picks that they gave up for Rudy Gobert, it is at least starting to be fruitful. And I think that, too, just from a fan perspective, I've always told y'all about this, but like being able to see Ant, for multiple rounds in the playoffs, that is something I'm looking forward to and that I want to happen. So I think about, because in order for them to get to the Western Conference Finals, if they stay a 1 seed, which is obviously most favorable for them, and I'm going to say the Lakers are going to get to 6. I don't think that they're going to get down to. Yeah, I don't think that they'll be playing. So that would mean they'd probably match up with either Dallas or Sacramento. That's not the best matchup, in my opinion, just because I like Sac and their team as far as just their experience from last year. But I think that I just like what Ant has as far as just being a up and coming superstar, and I think that depending on who they get in the second round, whether it's if Denver stays 4, which I don't think will happen, I think they'll continue to rise. Yeah. If they get the Clippers or if they get Phoenix, it'll be tough. Like it'd be a 7-game series probably. And I would just, again, as a fan, be going for Minnesota instead of fuck Clippers. Fuck them niggas. but yeah, it can't be Denver and it can't be Phoenix because I think Phoenix would beat them. But other than that, I'd take Minnesota to get to the Western Conference Finals.
What about you, Carl?
Yeah, I just can't put too much into the Timberwolves yet. I think they're, for me, one of those teams of I'll believe it when I see it, but I don't not believe that you can do it. but you're gonna have to show me. You know, I like clearly they're playing well in the regular season, but to me they more remind me of the Grizzlies from like what was that just like a year ago when they were, I think they finished with the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, but as soon as they got to the playoffs, their youth and inexperience just kind of showed. And Rudy Gobert has some experience, but that's about it I can think of, you know. And he's not a scorer, and he usually gets cooked on defense in the playoffs too. So yeah,
So what experience does he have?
Cat ain't been to the playoffs but with like 2 times, and he's been kind of butt when he's been Anthony Edwards last year was just very up and down. Like in those play-in games, I think he went like 1 for 11 in one of those games or something. But yeah, I think to me that's the main thing separating Ant from like a star and a superstar right now is just like being more consistent with it. I think he can. I think he definitely for sure at one point will, but I think that right now is kind of like their biggest thing. They do have Mike Conley.
I was about to ask you, and that's one of the things I was gonna say. I feel like he's too old now, but if they had an upgraded point guard, I feel a little bit more confident. But I don't know Mike Conley.
Mike Conley he's good for them because he's just the steady old point guard who does a lot of the right things, you know, decent on defense still. But I think with a team like this, it would be more beneficial if your veteran was at least like a 15 a game guy or something like that, you know. But yeah, they're good. We'll just see. We've seen a lot of fraudulent 1 seeds in the past couple years. Where we kind of just get back to realizing like, oh, the playoffs are about star power.
Yeah. And, you know, you kind of talked about Memphis back in the day. Well, not back in the day, a couple of years ago when they were a top seed and whatnot. And there's been other top seeds as well that haven't really, you know, made deep runs into the playoffs and whatnot. So how much do you think chemistry versus experience matters?
I mean, I do think it does come down to chemistry and star power, like Carl said. So it matters a lot. I think that's really the reason why the Lakers got so far last year too. I mean, you had 2 of the top, 10 players in the league, and then just the experience between those two, showed that even with the inexperience from Darvin Ham's perspective, that you can still get deep. With star power and experience.
What about you?
Yeah, I think that chemistry and experience is literally everything. Yeah. I think we saw it in another way with the Warriors last year because their chemistry was destroyed because Draymond decided to clock Jordan Poole. So, like the chemistry can be a detriment.
That was good.
But then also, like we know experience is huge in the playoffs. Like that's why whenever a young player does do certain things, it's like, oh, that's crazy. It's because it's just not expected and it doesn't happen that often. So I think that's always big. That's why even you look at when the Warriors beat the Kings were the 3 seed or something like that. That was just because that was the year before Draymond had. Or no, was that the same?
No, that
year?
was last year.
That was
yeah.
And I think that's where the experience though is like, okay, you can overcome certain things until you come up against a really good team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That was good. We listed the top teams in each respective conference: East, Boston Celtics; Western Conference, Timberwolves. What teams for both of those teams in their respective conferences, could give them a run for their money?
We're talking about the top of the conferences.
I guess, or a team that you're not really expecting to, essentially make noise. Who do you think they can? What team do you think can spoil their run to the playoffs?
I mean, for me, I think the Knicks. I'm not sure if that's low enough though, like a 4 seed. But I think the Knicks could do some spoiling. I was a year too early on Cleveland. I'm so happy to see where they at in the standings right now at top 2. I feel like things are looking well for them. I think they won like 19 of their last 20 games or something like that.
They're number 2 seed right now, right?
Yeah, man. I'm happy to see, because that team to me, as far as like how it's built, I like how it's built. But yeah, the Knicks. I think that their roster is solid, and defensively, I know that they'll be there in the playoffs. But we'll just, Jalen Brunson, as far as that star power that you need, it's enough for them. It works for them in their offense. So it'll just be about. Obviously, Julius Randle is going to be on the same hump. He's going to do the same things. He's going to be shooting them 3-pointers you don't need to be shooting. But
he's so terrible in the playoffs. It's
crazy. And that is the thing. Like, I feel like those trades that they made, I feel like they don't make them necessarily better on offense, but I feel like what it will do is it will at least balance their team more so that they don't feel like, oh, no, that doesn't even make sense. Never mind. That doesn't even make sense. I was going to say, like, based off of, trading RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, the ball will get funneled more to where it needs to, but even then it's going to go to Julius Randle and fucking Jalen Brunson. But I think
Anunoby's good.
Yeah, no, he is. But as far as shot creation, which is what a lot of times NBA playoff basketball comes down to, I don't know if that's
got
where
another
he needs
shooter
to be.
too, right?
They get Alec Burks and they got Bogdanovich.
Yeah, now Bogdanovich is a good move. Detroit finally moved off him.
I know.
So that was cool. That was good. That was a good move. So yeah, I think the Knicks could spoil some plans for the top seed in the East. Now in the West, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see Dallas. I'd like to see Luka like finally get farther. Because I just want to see that star power.
Western Conference Finals, you mean farther as in get to the finals?
Yeah. Like, I want to see that play out. I'd like to see him and Jokic go at it in the series, too. That'd be great. That's from a star power
that would be fire
perspective.
Yeah, I said, you have the same answers as me. I said the Knicks. I thought about Cleveland, but I'm just like, I know y'all got that experience last year, but outside of Donovan Mitchell, I don't trust any of those players to help him get to where he needs to be. Yeah. So I guess I got the Knicks by default. Even though Julius Randle doesn't play well, we'll see what happens this year. OG's made some deep playoff runs with the Toronto Raptors, and Jalen Brunson's made deep playoff runs, and they got a good coach, who's defensive minded as well. In the Western Conference, I just have PTSD from seeing Luka. I've seen Luka play with nothing and always give a Clippers a 7-game run for their money. So in my head, I'm like, yo, even though Minnesota #1 right now, that experience actually does matter. So like y'all said, Kyrie and Luka in the playoffs with throw whoever on there. I think they can beat a lot of teams, man. So I agree with you. I got the Mavs in the West, man. Yeah. What about you, Carl?
I think for sure in the West, I was looking at the West and I was like, the West is just really, again, deep this year.
Yeah.
But I could see one of the teams I was thinking of was the Mavs, but also I was thinking the Suns and the Lakers. Could at least ruin some things for some of these players.
I don't want to be be a homer.
But that's my thing is I think this is more, I don't know if I'm not necessarily saying they would make it to the finals, but I think that they could, especially if, say, one of these lower seeds is on the same side of the bracket as the #1 seed.
Yeah, because the second round 4 or 5, right?
Yeah, it could be the same thing as like how last year the Nuggets were playing the Lakers, who were the 7th seed. That's not what you expect.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of teams that could upset. But then also, I'm in that same vein, I don't know if the top teams are the favorites, because right now the top 2 teams are the T-Wolves and the Thunder. And I don't really see a lot of people saying that those 2 are going to make it to the finals.
Yeah, I don't trust them.
And then I think on the East side, I agree with the Knicks.
Knicks by default, right?
And yeah, for sure. And I think the Pacers could do something. I really think
the
they
right
do.
matchup. I think they could.
They play really fast. They play really young because they are. And Halliburton is really, really good. So I think they could definitely upset somebody.
I thought before you said the Knicks, I thought you were gonna say the Cavs, or I thought you were gonna say Miami.
Yeah, Miami always has opportunity. They always have opportunity. Good coaching, mixed in with that experience. Talent is a little bit deficient, but they always seem to make it up somehow. So yeah.
All right. And I just have a random topic that Warren wanted me to post up here as well too. He said, "Why do NBA players always get caught up with these quote unquote IG baddies?" What are your thoughts on
money,
this?
nigga. That's why they got money. They can do whatever they want to with the money, and then that's it. And then boom, then the shorty is gonna pop off about how she was with XYZ player, and that's be it.
Yeah,
That be it.
I just feel like they're so accustomed to only focusing on basketball. Their other skills just kind of go out the door. So like their judgment is whatever. And you know, from that standpoint, when you do got money and you've had these women that you've kind of looked up to in the social media era, as soon as you get that bread, you're gonna hit them up.
Yeah.
So that shit just crazy.
It makes sense.
I can't wait to have the reaction on his face. I'm just gonna have it all the time.
I just think it's a lot of young dudes
Are dumb.
with the but they're young. That's
young,
the thing.
yeah.
Like I don't know. I think it's messed up the way that that they're kind of vilified for it. It's like, bro, if half of the average young like 19, 20-year-old just had a bunch of money, they're whatever, you know, like a lot of them just sit on IG anyway looking at like all these girls that be, and it's like, well, now I got what they're looking for.
I just wouldn't fall. Even though I'm young, I've always had that mindset. I know it's just something that's temporary, and I've always been smart enough to not put myself in position to get caught up.
But a lot of them, it is temporary. Not a lot of them are getting married to any of these girls. It's just becoming a fling, and certain things happen. The only one that sucks is PJ Washington.
And Jalen, Jalen Green may have a pregnancy, I think, too.
Really, with who?
With Drea.
Oh damn!
And she old, ain't she?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And then CJ Stroud allegedly was taking Amber Rose home.
They were holding hands, bro.
I saw that.
Oh, I just think it was holding hands.
Yeah,
Well, then she lying about that. He's just taking me home. Shit.
That's cap. That's so cap. I know it's frowned upon when older men date younger women. How do y'all feel about these older women, you know, going after these young athletes who are essentially like, even though legally you're an adult at 18, like you said, I was still a fucking child at 20, 21 years old, for real. So what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like so long as the younger counterpart doesn't feel like they're being taken advantage of, it's two adults making a decision.
You agree?
I don't even want to really.
Your face says something else.
I think that's just a deep, nuanced conversation.
Hey, this might get some clickbait stuff. You want to say so? Go ahead. No? Plead the fifth. Okay, moving on to Real Rapper Cap. Real Rapper Cap. The Celtics and Wolves will still end up number one in the conference when the season is over.
I think it's real rap. Yeah, I think that both teams, as far as just in the regular season play, have what they need going forward to finish one.
What about you?
I'd say cap only on the Wolves end, because the Wolves are only 1.5 games ahead of the Thunder and 2 games ahead of the Clippers, 3 games ahead of the Nuggets. Versus like the Celtics are like 7 wins, you know, clear the next person, and like it kind of goes on from there. So the Celtics have shown like they're, at least in the regular season right now, they are just the best team over there for sure. But the West just feels so deep and close because it is that, you know, in 3 games the T-Wolves could be the 3rd or the 4th seed. So I've seen a lot of kind of slippage from them recently. So yeah, I just don't really believe that that's going to be them.
Yeah, I say cap as well. I think my Clippers going to end up being the number 1 seed. And then, if Adrian Griffin didn't get fired, because they're 3-7, like I said, they were like pretty close to the Celtics, and I was like, I wouldn't be surprised with them playing this poorly and still getting W's. They can turn around post All-Star break, but I got the Celtics staying number 1, and then like I said, I don't have Minnesota finishing with the number 1 seed as well.
I would love to see strength of schedule too. I'm not sure what that looks like.
I should have looked that up as well. Yeah, for sure. Real Rapper Cap. The Bucks core will be broken up by the end of the season, and when I say season, after this playoff run, just their core.
I would say Cap. I'll say that I think that they'll try to run it back again 1 year. I mean, you've had a lot of what's the word? Just uneasy territory with firing your coach midseason and then making a the blockbuster trade for them. So maybe they just need to try it one more year, I'd say, and then break it up maybe after that.
Yeah, I think it's Cap. I don't think that you just fired your coach midseason and you just added Dame. This isn't, you did all this to keep Giannis. I don't think blowing it up right now is going to help you keep Giannis at all. And it just doesn't make sense, especially when you just traded for a 34-year-old star. So,
Yeah, I say Cap too. Real rapper Cap staying on the topic of the Bucks. Doc will be replaced by the start of next season as the Milwaukee Bucks head coach.
I could say real rap to that, even though it will upset Giannis in the fact that he's had, just the multiple coaches and stuff. But I think it will give the Bucks, general management and owner the time to, scour the league over the summer to see what's available and see who else gets fired or let go. Yeah, and I think Doc will probably be right back in that seat.
I think it's Cap. You're not about to. Again, it's already one thing that they just fired their coach midseason. I don't think that any team with serious aspirations. You can't say you're a serious team and you're on your third coach in less than 2 years. You just can't,
Yeah.
So I just don't think it's going to happen, even if it should happen. But I don't think it's going to happen. And also, honestly, from like a business standpoint, and I don't know, their complete money, but I know right now that they're already paying, I think, 3 or 4 head coaches because the Bucks are. Yeah, I think it's 3 because they fired Bud,
Wow.
and they just fired Adrian Griffin, and they hired him. So they're paying 3 head coaches already. I just don't think that they're going to want to be like, yeah, we need to be paying 4 niggas at the same time. It's tough.
Plus, he came there midseason. I'm going to go to rap. I think he's going to get fired. Giannis going to find a way to get him out of there.
No way,
And
bro.
they'll hire someone else. So we going to see.
Shit, if 3 and 7 turned into fucking 5 and 12 or some shit like that.
That'd be nasty. Real rapper Cap will finally get Battle of LA in the playoffs.
I think this might be the year. So I say real rap. Like I said, I think the Lakers are as high as 6, and the Clippers could stay right at 3. Yeah, like it might literally be first round.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible, especially with just how much the
West keeps shifting.
Yeah, the standings keep shifting over there, and that would be really fire. I think everybody would want to see that.
I'm going to say Cap. Something's going to happen. We're never going to see it. So whenever I want LeBron to do something, it'll happen. Dating back to when I wanted to play Kobe, shit ain't happen. When I wanted Battle LA, actually it was the Clippers' fault in the bubble. So it's not always on him. But I don't see it happening because they're going to get that 1 seed, and I think y'all going to get a 6 seed.
You think y'all gonna get the 1 seed? Okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to get the 1 seed, so we'll see.
All right.
Any closing remarks for episode 139?
What holiday is it tomorrow?
President's Day.
Y'all have a good President's Day. And enjoy your day off.
I wish.
Enjoy your day off. Oh damn, Carl, you ain't got the day off.
Man, if I would look my boss in the face and be like, "Yeah, it's President's Day," you're like, "And so what are you talking about?"
Yeah, no, for sure got that joint off tomorrow. But yeah, man, and just stay safe. Continue to enjoy the rest of the beginning of 2024.
Oh yeah. Hope y'all enjoy the day off.
For sure.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, man. Make sure you guys, if y'all have a calendar or a piece of paper, dry erase board, write down your goals for the night. Sunday is normally used to plan for the week. And I hope you guys just take it day by day, milestone by milestone, and just keep chopping at the wood and carrying water. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 139 of the Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Sir Seezus, at Carl Conyers, at Terrence Whaley _. We out.
Peace.